Crows are strange creatures. They crack puzzles designed for human 7-year-olds, identify individual faces in a crowd, and nurse grudges for years against someone who crossed them just once. People have watched them drop nuts onto busy crosswalks, let passing vehicles do the cracking, and then calmly wait for the red light before strolling down to collect their meal. That's right. A bird is outsmarting your morning commute without even asking permission. They craft multi-part tools. They imitate human voices. They wrestle wolf cubs just for the thrill of it. Not long ago, something caught my attention, and I couldn't shake it. A crow in a laboratory setting was given a short stick, too short to reach food, sitting inside a puzzle box. Without hesitation, the crow grabbed a second stick, fitted it into the hollow end of the first, and assembled a longer, Then it reached in and claimed its prize. On the surface, it looks like a clever party trick. But what that crow actually did is something almost no other creature on this planet is capable of. It wasn't simply using a tool. It was building one. It combined two separate objects into something entirely new, something that hadn't existed a moment before, for a goal it had already imagined. Honestly, if you or I were dropped in that same situation, we'd either starve or open a new tab and ask the internet for help. To researchers, that single moment is remarkable. It demonstrates foresight and the ability to mentally picture a tool before it exists and then bring it into reality. Some scientists debate whether this technically qualifies as engineering, a skill we've long considered exclusive to humans and a select few great apes, or whether it's just exceptionally advanced problem-solving. But one thing can't be argued. This animal is thinking ahead. It's tolerating discomfort in the present for a reward in the future. That is foresight. That is a form of intelligence we assumed only we possessed. And that's exactly where things get unsettling. Because this animal is not a primate. It's not a mammal. It wasn't raised inside some elaborate social hierarchy. It's a bird, a small-skulled, feathered, solitary descendant of dinosaurs, and yet it's pulling off cognitive feats that rival those of a human child. Flocks of crows have been filmed riding bottle caps, down icy rooftops, climbing back up to the top, and doing it again. Over and over, no food involved, no survival benefit, just pure, unapologetic fun. They swipe shiny trinkets like obsessive little hoarders and hide them in locations only they can recall. And when one of their own dies, others gather, sometimes dozens, standing in silence. No squabbling, no feeding, just stillness and attention, as if they're trying to make sense of what just happened. Intelligence didn't emerge just once in evolutionary history. It appeared in mammals, our branch of the family tree, and then, independently and separately, it appeared again in birds. Different anatomy, different neural wiring, same outcome. Two completely distinct blueprints, 320 million years apart, somehow arriving at the same destination. And crows may be the most compelling evidence of that parallel journey, because if intelligence truly requires complex social structures, as we have long believed, then crows shouldn't be intelligent at all. The most intellectually gifted animals we know, dolphins, elephants, chimpanzees, all live inside large, intricate communities buzzing with alliances, power plays, and constant social friction. Crows? Not so much. Most of them live quietly in bonded pairs, one partner, one territory, minimal social noise. In humans and other mammals, intelligence lives inside the cerebral cortex, that wrinkled outer layer of the brain, folded into 6 distinct layers with nerve fibers running in every direction. creating a dense web of connections. This is the seat of reasoning, memory, planning, and imagination. For more than a century, science held that this layered structure was the entry fee for complex thought. No cortex, no cognition. Birds never evolved a cerebral cortex. When mammals and birds split semi-arcers million years ago, they went down completely different architectural roads. Birds developed a region called the pallium, a cluster-based neural structure with an entirely different layout. For decades, scientists looked at this and concluded that deep intelligence simply wasn't possible in birds. The hardware was wrong. But once you actually look at what crows can do, the behavior stops looking like a circus act and starts looking like something far more profound. In a now famous experiment, New Caledonian crows were shown tubes filled with water, each holding a floating treat, just out of reach. The crows immediately started dropping stones in to raise the water level. When researchers increased the difficulty, offering one water-filled tube and one filled with sand, the crows ignored the sand entirely. They understood it wouldn't work. When given objects of varying density, they chose only the ones that would sink. When presented with two tubes at different water levels, they picked the one closer to the surface, cutting down on the effort needed. These are not rehearsed responses. These are inferences. The crow is building a model of the physical world inside its head, running through scenarios and selecting the best option. Researchers tested the same tasks on human children. The crows matched the performance of 5 to 7-year-olds. But tool construction is where things become genuinely eerie. In a separate experiment, crows were left alone with materials that were, individually, completely useless, sticks too short to reach anything. No guidance, no. They began connecting the sticks on their own, sliding one into the hollow end of another, extending their reach. One crow assembled a tool from 3 separate pieces. Another built one from 4. This behavior, called compound tool construction, has been documented in almost no other species besides humans and a handful of captive great apes. It requires envisioning something that does not yet exist, but the most unsettling intelligence isn't found in labs. It's found on sidewalks. Crows recognize individual human faces, not outfits, not body shapes, not vague silhouettes. Faces. In a landmark study at the University of Washington, researchers wore rubber masks while trapping and banding several crows, then released them unharmed. For years after, anyone walking that campus in that specific mask was dive-bombed, mobbed, and screamed at, including crows who had never personally been trapped. The original birds had passed the information to their young. A face seen once, years ago, was still circulating as a warning through the community. Ginkgas. They hold what look remarkably like funerals. When a crow dies, others congregate around the body in silence, sometimes dozens of them, refusing to eat or scatter. Researchers believe this isn't grief in the way humans experience it. It's intelligence gathering. The crows are studying the death, cataloging the location, identifying the threat, and updating their internal map of where danger lives and why. But whether you call it mourning or strategy, the image is the same: a ring of black birds, motionless and watchful, surrounding one of their own. Their relationship with human civilization runs even deeper. Crows have shadowed us for thousands of years. They followed farmers' plows to snatch exposed worms. They trailed armies across battlefields. They decoded traffic patterns, which lights mean stop, which mean go. They memorized garbage truck schedules. They learned to distinguish between humans who threaten them and humans who feed them. and then taught their offspring the difference. In some cities, crows have started leaving gifts for the people who feed them. Buttons, coins, fragments of glass. Small, shiny items placed deliberately on windowsills like a form of payment. Nobody trained them to do this. They figured it out themselves. Thanks, Crow. A theme park in France has actually trained rooks, a close corvid relative of the crow, to collect cigarette butts and litter in exchange for food. The birds arrive on schedule. They work 4 days a week. The park staff calls them employees. Quick, what does it mean that a bird has a job? At this point, all they're missing is a passive-aggressive manager named Kevin and a crippling dependence on coffee.